J.D. Vance refused to denounce anyone and announced that the America First movement is one that's based on a Christian nation. Let's get into it.
We'll speak the truth every single day. For Charlie, we will rebuild this United States of America to greatness. We will never cower, even when staring down the barrel of a gun. For Charlie, we will remember that it is better to stand on our feet defending the United States of America and defending the truth than it is to die on our knees.
TPUSA's signature event AMFEST wrapped up over this last weekend, and J.D. Vance was the keynote speaker, and he is rebranding MAGA as America First. He mentioned America First 5 times in his speech, MAGA perhaps once. If you can get behind an America First policy coming from this Midwestern midwit who is in Middletown, Ohio, where J.D. Vance is from, please like, share, and subscribe on the way in. Let's get into my thoughts as a conservative father of 4, therapist, husband, and one who backs J.D. Vance for 2028. At least right now, that's the best we got. J.D. Vance repeats several times in this speech that entering into the risks that have been presented to us by the left is something that the conservative man must do if we're going to fight to regain access to all of the privileges which should come in living in a Christian country. Watch just a short snippet of that.
We ended Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's border crisis.
JD, of course, goes into a lot of the Trump administration accomplishments over the first year of their reign in office, and he does tout the fact that the border crisis has essentially been resolved, which is by far the greatest accomplishment of the America First movement in the 2024 to 2028 Trump presidency thus far.
Have to apologize for being white anymore.
Hilariously, J.D. Vance then goes into the fact that you no longer have to apologize for being white or, frankly, being any other race. And that is a great and fundamental change. But we all know that this premise has been given to us in schools, even from my time in high school and junior high school, that we should need to apologize for an immutable characteristic like the color of our skin. Good for him for mentioning it. That idea being pushed into the zeitgeist is exceedingly important if we're going to get this right. Do we have equality of opportunity, and can we therefore graft in many of the Gen Zers who have been told for so long that they are unworthy of having seats of power, unworthy of being the CEOs? It's time to bring them into the fold and tell them, your time is now. We do want you as part of the leaders of the future of the country.
Networks, but we're also going after the monsters that fund them. We don't just want to go after the Antifa member who threw a brick at an ICE agent. We want to know who bought the brick, and we're going to prosecute them too.
He then goes into a little bit of a rant about Antifa and whether the people who throw the bricks or the people who funded throwing the bricks are going to be punished and penalized for their conduct. And I've yet to see this. I really pray that the Trump administration, along with everyone else in authority, is willing to take down these terror networks and identify them for what they are, which is Marxists who are trying to tear down our country. Let's fix our eyes on the real enemies of this nation and the enemies of the America First movement. Start arresting Antifa, start getting convictions in these areas, and start identifying who funds them and begin to go RICO cases after these individuals so that the type of terror that happened to Charlie isn't something that needs to be worried about at every other public event if you're a conservative Christian man in the future.
Do you want more prosecutions? Great. So do we. Donald Trump and I have a list of better judges and prosecutors to enact swifter justice. So join us in the fight against the stupid Senate rules to stand in their way.
J.D. Vance then goes into a little bit of a speech, part of his speech that identifies that he understands there's criticism about the Trump administration not going fast enough. And he therefore begins to say, you want all these things, so do we. We want to move it along faster, and that requires political wins in the future. And of course, they have the House, the Senate, and the legislature's theirs, along with the judicial. It's time for us to see these victories. And granted, it's only been a year. And I think over the course of 4 years that the economics of the Trump administration will make improvements in the day-to-day lives of Americans. And he begins to tout some of those, which include gas prices, rent might be going down in some places, and other identifiers that your life has been made fundamentally better by electing them to office.
The answer is they are puppets. They don't actually matter. They are cogs in a machine that wants to make you poorer, that wants to make you less powerful, and wants to make you less safe in the country your ancestors built.
I love this part because JD is identifying outright that the liberal world order, the one who has been pulling the strings since the post-war consensus in World War II, is the ones who are actually pulling the strings of the Democrat Party. And I truly believe, although Republicans are oftentimes not great choices, not great representatives of the people, that the best choice, if you don't want the liberal world order to continue to march forward, is the Republican Party. They just need to stand as a better bulwark against those forces. But I love that he called this out.
What it is that unites us. But I want to say something here. The only thing that is truly served as an anchor of the United States of America is that we have been, and by the grace of God, we always will be, a Christian nation.
Now JD brings the real thunder. He says the only thing that unites us, the only thing that has given us any exceptionalism, if we could be called an exceptional nation, is that America has been founded and remained on Christian ideals. And it might be the last country in the Western world that withheld that idea. So can we push forward as a nation that is founded on Christian principles? Great call out.
Christianity is America's creed. The shared moral language from the Revolution to the Civil War and beyond. Across that history, our country's major debates have always centered on how we could best as a people please God.
JD says that the ways that we have pushed ourselves as a country are all with the premise of attempting to honor God. And if we honestly did that, it is such a high standard because God's standard, if we believe that we're going to go before our Maker someday and be held to account for the ways that we conducted ourselves, that will lead us to an exceedingly high standard, one which ultimately cannot be met, but will aid us in continuing to strive to be better, to treat people with more compassion when it's appropriate, but to tell the truth in all areas. And this is a very important creed, and it's the one that if we can say we've been a success over 250 years, that part of the reason is we're holding ourselves to a standard that is never quite reachable, but always compelling us to go harder and higher in order to serve the Creator who made us.
Think about it. That creed motivated our understanding of natural law and rights, our sense of duty to one's neighbor, the conviction that the strong must protect the weak, and the belief in individual conscience.
I love that he calls out natural law here, which is like the Christian version of Newtonian physics, where if you mess with a disease like COVID, for instance, and you try to make it more transmissible, then it will reap consequences. Or if you plant seeds that are going to be good works and you try to be compassionate to people that are in need, then that people like JD Vance can come up out of Middletown, Ohio, where I sit in this seat right now, and come into the vice presidency of the United States and perhaps beyond. Those are the good seeds you plant. If you plant negative seeds antithetical to God's plan, then you'll reap negative consequences.
The left has labored to push Christianity out of national life. They've kicked it out of the schools, out of the workplace, out of the fundamental parts of the public square. Freedom of religion transformed into freedom from religion.
JD rightly brings up that when you kick God out of public life and out of the public square, think about the public schools, for instance. You used to have freedom to practice whatever creed or religion you wanted to. Now it's freedom from practice. Now it is the religion of secularism that has really overtaken it, because you have no liberty apart from worshiping the secular in the public school. And we reaped the natural law consequence of that, which is a generation or two, mine included, of people who believe that the highest moral value you can have is not to believe in any creator God, which has reaped horrible consequences across our nation, including trying to turn people from one sex to another among a great many other.
And we might ask, what are the fruits of these people and their principles? And the answer is a man named Tyler Robinson who killed my friend.
This is really a great summary and perfect encapsulation of what the liberal world order ideal is pointing young men and women to, and not just the enmity between men and women or the idea that someone can turn from one to another, but the perfect fruits are represented perfectly in Tyler Robinson, who ultimately came from a conservative family or one that may have even had biblical principles and was carried away by ideology upon his entering into college, and then ultimately was fervently radicalized to the point where he would even take someone's life in a very public way in order to defend his ideology. It turns out that people are inherently religious, and if you take God and the practices therein out of the public square, you will get fervor in a different direction, and they will just adapt and find the religion of secularism, the religion of atheism, the religion of leftism, and Marxism.
Because the fruits of true Christianity are men like Charlie Kirk.
This is a great dichotomy that JD brings out, which is, would you rather have your sons look like Tyler Robinson or Charlie Kirk? And while it might be a false dichotomy that is the inherent result of conservatism versus liberalism, it is one that those are exemplars. Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, which one would you want your kids to look like?
The fruits of true Christianity are good husbands, patient fathers, builders of great things, and slayers of dragons. And yes, men who are willing to die for a principle if that's what God asks them to do. It is better to die a patriot than live a coward.
The fact that we are getting expressly Christian, biblical, natural law worldview in a political speech by one of the frontrunners for the 2028 candidacy means that the Christian nationalist, or perhaps the Christian worldview basis of this country, is coming back into the public square. It's coming back into the Overton window, and it is time for us to possibly put the crown on JD's head for the 2028 candidacy. I believe that this speech locked it in. Of course, we still have 3 years of the Trump administration to see exactly what JD's conduct looks like, what the Trump administration's successes could be, but I truly believe that this is our guy. I've met JD in person a couple times. I've always found him to be magnanimous. He always treated us with respect. We've had pictures with him. We've heard his speeches in person, and he is a good man. Regardless of some of the foibles and the connection to the tech bros, I think JD is our 2028 candidate in waiting, and he has yet to prove me wrong in that. And this speech, where he calls out the division that's being propagated by Ben Shapiro, along with the lack of Christianity in our worldview basis for how we operate in politics now, all of that is chef's kiss. Let's move him into the candidacy right now. I'm ready. And if you are ready for a future that is founded in faith, fatherhood, and freedom, I would love your support. Please run me out of my therapy practice and run me into sharing what's true, good, and beautiful. I would love your support. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.